Hey everybody, Mike Ferrante with Century 21 Homestar, 21 Mike team. We are here to do some agent training today. We're going to talk scripts and dialogues, lead conversions, mainly online leads, but this can work for any type of lead. We'll mainly focus on buyers. We'll talk a little bit about sellers, and we're even going to give you a list of questions you can ask your folks to help qualify them. The qualifications for doing this are that, our team closes somewhere between 300 and 500 deals. This year, we're going to be really close to 500, Tony. And a lot of that thanks to broker owner of Homestar, Tony Geraci, who's on with us to share his wisdom and knowledge of about 30 years in the real estate business. Tony, thank you so much for doing this every week and sharing what you share. What's the best way for us to reach you? And I guess say hello.
Well, hello, everyone. Good morning. It's still morning, right? Next half hour. Yes, you can call or text. Text is always best at 216-374-1269. I'm always happy to set aside some time for anybody that wants to talk about anything real estate related.
Same here. Best way to reach me is email, mike@21mike.com. By the way, if you guys are watching this after the fact on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. Tony, that's the new lingo. That's what all the kids are saying these days. You smash the button now. You don't click it. In case you were wondering.
Thank you for the lingo. Yeah, I'm a little outdated with my lingo.
Yeah, got a couple of teammates here, Ryan and Will. They're on the call with us, and they probably know about that lingo about smashing it. So go ahead and smash it. We're shooting to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can do these live on YouTube as well, which will be really cool. But anyway, topic at hand is lead conversion, Tony, and we cram all this into 20 minutes each week. So I've got a couple great script ideas. I'm going to show some numbers that'll be really startling. Actually, I think I'm going to lead off with that. I'm going to show some numbers on lead conversion, which is really going to be a wake-up call. First of all, we had this in the marketing, but Tony, did you know that the industry average for internet lead conversion for real estate agents is just over 2%? It's pretty abysmal, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always knew it was under 5 if you're lucky. So.
Yeah, so the reality is it's just over 2%. Now that's average. Now, of course, none of us here are average because everyone who's watching this or on this call, they're working harder than everybody else. And of course, you have more knowledge than everyone else. So let me do this. I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you some really compelling numbers. Let's see. Oh, I love technology. Of course, whenever you put your cursor by the Zoom stuff, it wants to show you something else. Okay. Oh, you know what? It's right here. Here it is right here. So this is from a great book by Chris Smith. It's called Conversion Code, or it's all about lead conversion. Chris Smith was with Quicken Loans for a long time. He was in charge of their sales department, and every website shows this. The lead conversion, the rule is that the difference between calling your lead within 5 minutes compared to 30 minutes, your conversion ratio is literally 100 times less. So it's so important to call your leads right away. I know the pushback I get all the time, Tony, from my teammates and other agents I talk to is, well, I get a lead. I don't know anything about the property. Shouldn't I do some homework first? The answer is a resounding no. You're there to make a connection. You can always do the research later. Half the time you're driving or on, otherwise indisposed. You've got to call them within 5 minutes. This is the difference in conversion. The study they did, the median response time for realtors was 3 hours and 8 minutes. That's how long it took agents to get back to leads. And 47% of leads in this survey that they were testing realtors out never got a response at all, no response. So obviously that's going to be a 0% conversion rate. The other thing is the number of attempts, okay? They found, or Chris Smith feels that the optimal is 6 attempts. That's what we should be doing. That's when we get that conversion contact rate up to 93%. So, we're lucky if agents are reaching out once or twice, but it's the speed of the attempt, and then of course the number of times we attempt. So I'm going to stop my share real quick. Tony, have you ever seen those numbers? I mean, that's pretty compelling, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, it's numbers similar to that. And it's all about time and how often you follow up. And again, this is a connection. I tell agents you should never stop following up unless they say stop calling me. But then you have scripts and things what to say. Well, stop calling you now because you're not interested in buying a house now, or you bought one, or you're interested in the future, because these people will buy eventually. So you got to find out why they're asking you to stop calling on that. And yet, I mean, I'm putting out a disclaimer here on this, as I don't have any, I'm not an attorney, but I've yet to see an article of an agent getting in trouble for calling an internet lead too much. I've never seen an article about that. I've never seen a do not call, someone getting fined by the trade commission or anything. So that's the other thing. It's like, well, I don't want to get in trouble for calling them too much. You won't get in trouble for calling them, until they say, stop calling me, then maybe slow down.
Yeah. And remember that the do not call violations, Ryan and I were talking about this, the do not call violations. I was just reading 3,000 is the fine per violation, up to 43,000. But that does not apply if they reach out to you. So that's why it's so important, as we get into the scripts and dialogues here, to mention that I'm returning your call or I'm responding to your inquiry. And, my advice is what we learned actually from Zillow when we were doing Zillow scripts is cut right to the point. So here's my example that, straight from Zillow, what they recommended as far as an opening line. You first of all, make sure you got the right person. So it might be something like, hi, is this Tony? And of course, if I have the right number, Tony's going to say yes. And then I say very quickly, hey, Tony, it's Mike Ferrante from Century 21. You inquired about 123 Main Street, whatever the address is. Typically, we have that address. If you don't, again, just wing it. You inquired about a house. You inquired about a house in Strongsville or whatever information you have, regurgitate that back to them and say, Tony, I'm just following up so that I can answer your questions. And Zillow recommends cutting right to the chase and saying, if they're interested in the house, when would you like to see it? I know that this is backwards from what a lot of coaches have taught, but I think that it immediately disarms the person so that they're not thinking, first of all, that you're a sales rep, just soliciting them for something they don't want. But if I were to say to you, Tony, hey, it's Mike Ferrante from Century 21 calling you back about 123 Main Street, when would you like to see it? I mean, what do most agents do? They immediately throw up all these roadblocks. Have you been pre-approved? All this stuff. You want to break down that wall and have a good, productive conversation with the person. So, Tony, I'll open that thought up to you. I know that there's going to be people who are going to push back on this, but that has worked really well for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of agents want to cut to the chase really quick. You got a lead on the phone, you're going to spend some time with them. You're not going to, they sometimes like, I want to find out within 5 minutes if they're qualified in this. I don't want to spend any more time with them. I would say, think about once you pick up that phone, might be a half hour, 45 minutes of your time. If they want to talk to you, continue to talk to them. If you're not going to invest the time in the first phone call to see, the longer you talk to them, the more you build a connection to, and that's the risk of that, to find out, well, we spent 45 minutes with someone on the phone to build a connection with them in hopes that now it's getting pre-approved. Now they want to see houses. They're in my area. But so many agents just want to, because they're in the middle of doing things. They don't want to sit down and just like, okay, I got someone in front of me on that. And then if I'm jumping the gun here, I always tell agents too, now when you have that long conversation, now talk to them and educate them about what they just did. They just went on the internet and clicked a button like Zillow or Realtor.com or something else and got you. Now your job is to convince them, don't ever do that again. Don't do it. You got me. I'm your trusted real estate advisor. You went on a website. They sell these leads to me. They sell these leads to me. You don't want 50 realtors calling you, do you? No, you don't. So I want to be that person. Can I be that person? Feel free to go on Zillow, Realtor.com. Keep looking. Don't click. Click me. Call me. And I will tell you all about that house, find out that information, because they're going to sell your number to someone else, and they'll sell it to someone else and someone else, and you're going to get 50 people call you. So that's just my opinion on what I tell realtors. You have another job, stop them from doing what they just did.
That's right, Tony. And we could do an hour on this topic. Those are some of the highlights definitely that I wanted to hit. One of the reasons that it's recommended to immediately say, when would you like to see it, is that buyers, they tend to click that button as many times as it takes for someone to show them a house. Once they have someone who's ready to show them a house or houses, they tend to, in their mind, say, okay, I've got someone now. And just like you said, they don't want 50 other people calling them. So asking, when do you want to see it? That's just step one. Zillow recommended keeping the script pretty short on the first call, unless, as you said, people want to keep talking. And if you can build that rapport on the first call, great. But I think what happens most of the time, I mean, we've all made these calls. We know that these buyer leads don't really want to talk to us a whole lot on the phone. So they follow it up with two more questions. So it's, hey, Tony, when would you like to see that house? And then I want to learn more about you. So they don't get, there's a purpose behind these questions. So let me just tell you what they are. Question number 2 is, Tony, are there any other houses that you want to see? Okay. And of course, why do we ask that?
Just to see if they've been looking and see if there's any other houses and if they're educated about the market, or they just happen to fall across this one and they're deciding, maybe I'll buy this one. So
that's absolutely right, Tony. It is, so we get an idea of like how vigorously they've been looking, like if they, because they're going to tell you their life story if you're pressing the right button. So they're going to tell you, oh yeah, I've been on realtor.com and Zillow, and I have looked at 50 houses online. This is the only one I found that checks all my boxes. I love this house. No other houses. Or they're going to tell you, well, yeah, I mean, there's like 10 houses that we're kind of interested in. I'd like to see all of them. Well, now you've got some work to do, because, we've got to figure out if they're just tire kickers or exactly what's going on. And that's where question number 3 comes in, where you get them talking about what they like. So question number 3, by the way, guys, I'll be surprised if anyone says, oh yeah, these are the exact 3 questions I asked. These questions are a little different and they're really strategic. Question number 3 is, what did you like about that house? And that kind of opens the conversation about what they're looking for. And I think, Tony, to your point, it speaks to it. It uncovers motivation level. It uncovers seriousness. So Tony, if I say to you, well, I don't know, we were just looking at it and it seemed like it had a lot of land, but I don't know, I just kind of not really sure what I liked about it. I just want to see it. That tells you what? That I'm probably just a tire kicker, unless you can get me to open up more, right?
exactly. And then that's where agents got to decide, the time, the effort. Some agents like to do I like to refer to it as the first one for free. Like, get them out of the house, get them to meet them in person. Now I'll make sure they're pre-qualified. I put that time. Some do that, some don't want to spend that time.
Yep. So that's exactly right, Tony. There's 2 schools of thought. Perfect segue. You must have been reading my mind. Some agents are saying, well, wait a minute, Mike, what about the buyer consultation, where we really dig down, find out if they're working with another agent, get them to sign the buyer's agreement and all that. So there's two schools of thought on this. School of thought number 1 is, I don't take out anybody without a pre-approval letter and a buyer agreement. And school of thought number 2 is what we just said, and it's what we on our team usually do. That is, get them out the door, meet them in person, and have this conversation in person. Tony, what do you think is the advantage for the people who say, look, I don't set foot in my car or take anyone to a house without a pre-approval letter and a buyer's agreement? Why might that be advantageous?
Yeah, no, it's just there's pros and cons to that. Obviously, if it's you just got to just assess the time, the commission possibility. Obviously, someone says, well, if they're looking at a $700,000 house and it's like 2 streets over from my house, I'll go. If it's an $80,000 house 45 minutes away, I want to make sure they're pre-approved. And so yes, I think being pre-approved, but I also, there's lots of scripts for this, but I always explain to agents, my opinion is to not blame it, but explain to them is that, I'd love to show you this house. These houses move quickly. Right now, a lot of most agents are explaining to them, do not even look at a buyer's offer unless there's a pre-approval letter. So it's really advantageous of you to get a pre-approval. now. So when you find that right house, you could get it now. So you don't to blame it on you. Like, I'm not going to show you a house unless you're pre-approved. But you say, no, you not blame it or explain to them why it's beneficial for them in hopes that they understand that, if that
Yep.
makes sense.
So Tony, we just did an ethics class where there was some conversation, some realtors on Long Island in New York got in big trouble for treating clients differently. So we have to be careful about our policies as real estate agents. Can you explain why it might be a problem if I tell one buyer, well, I won't show you houses without a pre-approval letter, but then if another buyer calls me and I say, sure, I'll show you a house, and I don't have that same policy with them? Why could that be a problem?
Oh, definitely. It could definitely be a problem because usually if it's something, if you are steering people, or you're only going to take people in a certain price range and make sure they're pre-approved, they're different price range. Yes, that could get you in trouble if you feel they're feeling they're being discriminated against. So I say definitely try to be as much as possible, explain to them that they should be in need and you would like them to be. But again, you still can make the judgment on that, but you should ask them, everybody, I would like to see you pre-approved on everybody. So you're consistently saying you pushing people to, and then you make the judgment if you're going to go from that point on.
Yeah,
But you can't,
our advice on
again,
our team is have a policy and stick to it. So what happened in Long Island was they had hidden cameras, and they had a white person go in and say, well, I want to see houses. And the realtor said, okay, great, let's go see houses. And then, this is an oversimplified version, but then a minority buyer met with the same agent and they said, well, I need a pre-approval letter first. So of course, the allegation was that they were being discriminated against because the agent treated the white person differently than the minority.
oh, definitely that. I was just considered internet leads where you don't know who's who. You
Right.
can't see them other than
Yeah.
their financial qualifications on that. And it
Yep.
is okay for sellers. We had one agent seller get upset because the first showing they didn't show a pre-approval letter. The seller could ask, I want to see a pre-approval letter before I let you in my house, to make sure that that's a seller can do that. There's no discrimination against financial capability of buying something.
Say that again. There's no discrimination.
In financially, your financial ability to buy something, when you're just looking at numbers, there's
Exactly.
no
It's so
discrimination to that, on that. But let me just say, but once people are in a house and see a house and people go, there's questions that come up like, well, why didn't you take my offer over someone else's offer? I'm qualified too. I'm keeping it, I don't want to get a snowball rolling in this conversation, but this is more about internet leads and what you do for people you don't know where they're coming from.
That's right. So those are the three questions. I'll recap them real quick. When do you want to see it? Are there any others that you liked? And number three, what did you like about the house? Now, I'm going to rattle off a list of some additional questions. This is if the conversation goes longer, or for that in-person conversation. But these are great questions. If you guys want a copy of these, just hit me up, Mike@21mike.com. You can also do a Google search for interview questions for prospective buyers, for realtors. But I'm going to rattle these off real quick, and then Tony, I'll open it up for you to comment. When are you ready to move? Have you worked with a realtor? Have you seen any homes with a realtor? We want to know, we want to uncover that. It's our duty to make sure that they're not already in a relationship with another realtor, especially if they have a buyer's agreement, which is number three. Have you signed a buyer's agreement? If they say yes, they're working with a realtor. But all these questions help uncover these facts. Are you working with a lender? That's a great way to open that pre-approval conversation. And if yes, have you been pre-approved? What questions did they ask and what information was taken for that lender? So in other words, did you just tell them stuff over the phone, or actually credit, and have you already turned in your income proof documents and bank statements and all that? Can I get their contact information so I can touch base and coordinate with them? If they don't have a lender, that's your opportunity to give them at least three, right, Tony? We know that the new rule is refer in threes, not new, but they're really cracking down on that, they being the state. How long have you been searching? How have you searched? What price range? What areas? What size home? And find out about bedrooms, bathrooms, and all those criteria. What size property? Is there anyone else I should meet who will be making this decision. And the last one that we have on this list is what style of homes are you interested or not interested in? So I know I rattled those off quick, but 20 minutes goes fast.
Right. I wanted to add one more. I don't think you said this one. I like, is that when you ask, have you used an agent before in the past? And if they say yes, you could ask, is there a reason why you're not using that same agent now? And then along that conversation, you go, what in the past, have you, when you used agents, what were the good experience or the bad experiences you had with agents? So you could see what their needs and wants are. Well, they didn't call me enough. They didn't, show me enough how. You could see exactly where they want to be, because if they bought a home before or talked to another agent before, if you didn't win the lottery and this was the first time they clicked on the internet, and why they're not returning any of those other agents' phone calls. And I got a lot of agents find out some good or bad things about people, like, oh yeah, I've seen 10 houses with 5 other agents, and I already saw this one, I just want to see it again. That's a whole nother video, right?
Yeah, right. Tony, we are really in sync today, because that last question you added also works for seller leads. So that's my number. We don't have time to do all the seller questions on this call, but the number one question that I think you should be asking your seller leads is, what are you looking for in an agent? So kind of like you asked, what didn't work, what did work, what are you looking for in an agent? And of course, that opens up all kinds of information to help you secure the listing.
Right, exactly. And then same question. You don't want to not kick them back to their old agent, but find out if they bought or sold a house before in the past. There probably was an agent involved, because 95% of all houses in the United States are sold by an agent. Only 5% are sold by owner. Chances are they use an agent. Why aren't they calling that agent back? Probably, the agent never followed up with them, but you could at least find out, because I occasionally have had agents that start working with people. All of a sudden their old agent finds out, connects with them, and they just take them halfway, you get them halfway there and then they take them the rest of the way. So you can at least, save some time when you ask that question.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, once again, we crammed an hour's worth of information into 22 minutes. And again, if you guys want any of the materials we talked about today, hit me up at mike@21mike.com and join us again next week. We're going to go a little deeper into this leading into December, which is business planning month. So if you need some help putting together a business plan for 2022, we're going to hit some basics of business planning during the month of December.
Sounds great. Well, thank you for attending, everybody, and reach out to us if you need anything.
Okay, take care, everyone. See you
Have
next
a good
week.
one. Bye-bye.